Hello, welcome to the 10 o'clock news. I'm your host, Spark Russell, and today we'll be talking about the different forms of sporting practices that a sporting performer can do. Righty, well first, you need to know what practicing is. Practicing is basically practicing a different form of skill. You can do it in many different ways, such as mass, distributed, fixed, whole part whole, and much more. I intend to go into detail about every last one of them. Well, let's start from the top. Mass practice. This is where you practice continuously over and over for a long period of time without rest. An example of a skill that can be used for mass practice would be a basketball set shot, as the skill can be grouped in, pardon my hesitation, and can become habitual through mass practice, meaning the skill will be perfected every time if taught correctly. It's also good for people with high levels of motivation and high levels of fitness, as it's done for a long period of time without any form of rest, so it can build up cardiovascular fitness. Don't ask me what that is, I'm just a journalist here. It also enhances overlearning as well. Anyway, let's move on. Quote, cardiovascular fitness is to do with the efficiency of the heart and how well it can pump blood around the body. I forgot to mention, mass practice is suitable for simple, discrete skills that have short duration. It can save on time, and because the skill doesn't need to be reintroduced after a break between, it can be done. However, there is a disadvantage to beginners who have low-level fitness and will likely not be able to concentrate and pay attention for long periods of time. It can also be suitable if the coach wishes to simulate performance conditions where there's an element of fatigue. Taking the set shot example, it could be taken into a game situation. The main disadvantage is, again, if the person has poor fitness, mass practice is going to tire them out easier. Right here, on to my next set of practice, distributed. Next, distributed practice. This is a practice session that has rest interval included in between these sessions. It is good for learning any kind of skill, really. Particularly, it is great for beginners and learners who will have low-level fitness and will need to develop the skill over time through breaks. The rest interview allows to recover both physically and mentally, allowing for the performer to think about how to do the skill. It also allows the coach to give feedback to the performer. Journalistic hesitation again. My apologies. But it has also been shown that it is the most effective form of practice, as it helps to maintain motivation and is good for potentially dangerous or complex skills, such as a triple jump in a figure skating routine. On to the next one on my list, fixed practice. This is when a specific movement pattern or closed skill is practiced multiple blah blah blah. It's just very annoying when I can't speak because, well, it just makes for poor journalism, don't you know? It is where the specific movement is performed over and over again, repeatedly in the same environment. Like I said earlier, it is suitable for closed skills as it never is changed and it isn't affected by environmental factors like open skills would. It also allows for the pattern to become perfected, as once you learn the proper pattern, you'll know what you're doing. Oh yeah, I should probably write this down. One problem with fixed practice is if you're learning the wrong pattern, the wrong pattern becomes habitual and it leads to bad habits, which will perform the skills. Another little journalistic note for all you performers out there. Stupid journalistic notes. A good example of something that can be fixed practiced is a layup in basketball, as the pattern can be repeated over and over. Next on my list is supposed to be mental practice. However, a good journalist knows that he needs to do more than just the bare minimum. I intend to do more, such as part and whole practice, and whole part whole practice as well. Firstly, we'll go on to mental. Mental practice, or mental rehearsal, is where the performer goes through whatever movement they are doing in their head. In the early cognitive stage of learning, mental rehearsal is also sometimes referred to as imagery, such as imagining the skill you're going to do, like picturing a jump in your mind if you're a figure skater, or picturing where the ball is going to go if you're a footballer. It's good to help reinforce successful movements as you reinforce the movement. You picture the image of a successful movement in your mind. Chances are you'll be able to perform that movement successfully. Little note though, you need to make sure you've actually done the skill successfully at least once, otherwise you're going to otherwise you're going to do it wrong anyway. And it's not a good alternative to physical practice on its own, because you need to improve on the skill as well as mentally visualizing it in your head. Like I said, a good journalist knows to get more than just the bare minimum. Next, we have part practice. This is suitable for low organization skills, as these can be broken down into different subroutines which can be practiced individually and then put together in the whole skill. A good example would be breaking down a tennis serve, starting with the throw and going right into the swing into the court. This is good as it can build confidence into skills that might be more dangerous, and it also builds confidence in doing the skill in the first place. Next is whole practice. This is where high organization skills are taught as a whole thing due to its cyclical nature. A good example would be swimming, because you need to just keep swimming, like the Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. I will stop singing because I'm kind of terrible at it. But yeah, it is good for those who need to learn the whole skill due to cyclical nature, such as an athlete. And last but not least, mental lapse there, whole part whole. This is where the whole skill is introduced, broken down into part and put back together again. Using swimming, you can start being taught the whole breaststroke, have it broken down into legs and arms, and then put back together again. In my little next bit, I will explain the advantages and disadvantages of swimming. Well, firstly, part practice. It has got good advantages as it can build confidence into new skills that you are learning, and otherwise skills that would be dangerous if taught as a whole. It can also allow you to focus on specific parts that you may feel is weaker, or that the coach feels is weaker. So you can practice your tennis throw into the air before moving on to the swing. And another advantage is that the coach can give feedback on individual parts that identify a weakness. Whole practice is good as you will understand the whole skill and will be able to do it over and over. So the whole becoming habitual thing I mentioned earlier. However, a disadvantage is that the coach cannot give proper feedback, as you can't break it down, like you can't break a run down into a subroutine, so you can't identify which part of your running is weaker. You have to say your whole technique is weaker. Whole part whole is good as you can understand the whole skill, then work on bits that may be weaker. So in swimming you would have hold onto a float and kick your legs if say your legs in breaststroke is weaker in the actual swimming stroke itself. This is good as it also allows to give the coach feedback on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, etc., etc. Well, unfortunately, that's all I have time for this evening. I hope this little news bulletin helps you performers out there understand the quality that is sporting practicing. Anyway, my name was Mark Russell. This was the 10 o'clock news, and I am out.